You're going to it up like every day, like for sure. So full permission to do that. Okay. I don't think we are in a mental health crisis. I think we're in an understandable human response to a loneliness epidemic. No matter how good we get at AI, we will never automate relationship.
I mean, community is so important, but then you can live in a house full of people and still feel very lonely.
The hardest thing we will ever do as humans is look at each other. And we've never had this many opportunities to look away.
Why is it so hard for us to make time for ourselves?
Our fathers have been very good at teaching us, if you rest, you're lazy. They were in a very different time. Now, people can get us 24 hours a day, which means we have to rewrite that story. You can drink all the kale and do all the yoga you want, but if you're doing that in a dysregulated body, it's a waste of time. You can't tell anybody how to regulate, you have to show them. And that's very true for your own body. This is the season of being very kind to her.
I would talk to you for hours, honestly.
This is the Weigh In with Gina podcast.
Dr. Jody Carrington is a clinical psychologist, best-selling author. She's the host of the podcast Unlonely, and an all-around really just energetic, lovely, caring, amazing person who talks very serious topics like trauma, like self-discovery, like disconnection, reconnection. How do you broach these topics with this lightness that you bring?
You know, I think it's necessary. I think historically, what we're really worried about, I mean, people say this to me all the time as a psychologist, we are in a mental health crisis. We've never seen anxiety, depression this high. People are killing themselves faster in North America, faster because of emotional illness than from physical illness for the first time in history. And I think what's interesting about this is I don't think we are in a mental health crisis. I think we're in an understandable human response to a loneliness epidemic. And so what is so critical about that process is we were never meant to do any of this alone. And when we do this in connection with each other, the most vulnerable emotion on the planet is joy. And when we're going to have some hard conversations, when we can do it in a way that makes it universal, connected, and if there's any chance that there's a thread of humor in there, it makes our capacity to integrate it so much more powerful.
I mean, that was just my first question. I'm just going to toss my notes away because something you just said there, we have this just beautiful community. It's this safe, I wouldn't say positive. I used to say positive space, but it's not about happy, happy, joy, joy. It's where people can feel vulnerable. They can share, they can ask questions and feel heard and feel seen. And people always say it's a cult. Oh, it's a cult. And I'm like, I think what they don't recognize is community. It's not a cult. I think in this like loneliness epidemic, they don't recognize being part of something and having a place where they can, like I always say, well, of course, as you know, I deal in like weight loss and helping people make change, but making any kind of change is hard enough, let alone trying to make change while life is smacking you in the face. And to have this place and be surrounded by people who are just trying to do the same thing is really special, but I don't think people recognize it.
So there's two rules to the human race, okay? And particularly in this place of exposure, we now have access to 48 million opinions and body types in 1 second. We are the first generation of humans that have access to this many opinions. And here's what's true about the human race. So practicing psychology for over 20 years now, here's the two things that I know to be true, regardless of age, race, religion, socioeconomic status, gender identity. We are way more alike than we are different. Our DNA as humans is 99.98% the same. Okay, race is a social construct. And whoever created us gave us two rules. So I don't care what you believe in, Jesus or Buddha or Yahweh, the Great Big Bang. However we got here as humans, two rules. Yeah. Number one, whoever made us said, I'm going to make you neurobiologically wired for connection. Okay, you disconnect from an infant, they die. No matter how good we get at AI, we will never automate relationship. The only AI that's going to matter, which is what is so beautiful about your community, Gina, is authentic interaction. If you understand AI, you will build the most successful company. Your relationships will be stronger than they've ever been because we're in a loneliness epidemic. Okay. The second rule of whoever made us threw a curveball. Despite the fact that we're neurobiologically wired for connection, the rule is this: the hardest thing we will ever do as humans is look at each other. And we've never had this many opportunities to look away. The bottom line is we were never meant to do any of this alone, particularly when you're trying to make a change, when you're trying to understand why you've hung on to weight or why there's been this shaming piece in your family system about, big busted women or whatever the story is about hips or for birthing, or, you've just always been that way. You have the thing. Those conversations need to be tried on for size in a community. And now when we have so many opportunities to look away, we have less and less opportunities to do that. So when you create a safe place, some people are going to start to think about it like a cult because we're doing so much of everything alone.
Is this why body positivity is so hard, or body acceptance? And even that whole conversation has gone just like I think it started out as being a good thing, but then it got tied into weight. And then it was like, you can't love yourself and want to lose weight. You can't want to make change. And, we're skinny. We don't love ourselves. We live in a larger body. We don't love ourselves. Trying to lose weight. We don't love ourselves. Is that why that's so difficult?
I think that, comparison has never been so easy. And so
Yeah.
I think what we're up against in this space is right now, let's even take this, if I take this in the realm of parenting, which I mean, again, is for anything, but I'll just give you this example. When I had my first baby, I had access to one major opinion. Okay. So he was born before the introduction of the smartphone. And I had one major access to, which was my mother-in-law. Okay. So I'd be questioning, oh my God, do I fit in? And she'd be like, you know what? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, he's not sleeping. And she'd be like, just put a little booze in his bottle. And I'd be like, whoa, Laura, I think things have changed a little, Now, as a young mom, I think about this all the time. It's one of the loneliest experiences right now, parenting, because in any given moment, in your most vulnerable moments, times, you have access to 48 million opinions. And it looks like everybody else is doing it way better than you are. In the weight loss space, in the body positivity space, we are desperate to sort of see, like, is this normal? Even when I say I love my body, I fucking hate it. Even when I say that I'm so good and happy about myself, I don't all the time, which is what I love. How you, at the top of the show, you said, it's not about a positive community, which I love, because as a psychologist, people say this to me all the time. What is your biggest hope for your partner, for your child, for you? Oh, I just want to be happy. That's such bullshit, because nobody's happy all the time. What I hope my community, your community, is really about creating a space where it's safe enough to feel all the emotions. And if you are really authentic in creating a community in that way, you're going to see it and feel it all. Pushback. Is this what I need? Is this that's exactly what I want to see happen. When you can get the authentic roller coaster of whether it is relevant to me, what size you are, everybody feels like shit in their own body at some point. And when you can have the safety of figuring that out together with other people, and you feel seen in that way, it's like sunshine, especially in this lonely world.
People can get an understanding, because we're helping people get in tune to their body and be able to trust when to eat, what to eat, how much to eat, have an understanding of what they need physically, mentally. Do you think anyone ever really feels happy or in their content
Oh
in their
yeah.
body?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, you're probably more of an expert in that than I am, but I would tell you, I think it's become so hard right now because of all the noise. We have not really, I think, addressed this. People say to me all the time, we're worried about kids and phones. We're the first generation of parents. We're the first generation of leaders to have access to social media, and we're not talking about it enough. So even when you feel regulated in your system, which is rare for any of us these days, we have a really hard time in being able to sort of figure out when that might be. And so what happens in this space is then I think it becomes really difficult for us to know, are we ever feeling like we're doing it right? Because there's always so many opportunities to tell us that we're not. So it becomes hard to stay centered, right?
I want to talk about that regulation, because that came up. What is self-regulation? Is it control? But first, I want to go back to you mentioning happy. Someone asked me once, am I happy? And I couldn't answer that question. I have a wonderful family. I have a wonderful life. I love what I do. My children's are great. And then I kind of asked around, and no one really knew if they were happy, because I don't think people knew what that definition of happy even was.
Mm.
Are you
You know what,
happy?
yeah, not all the time. I'm a disaster most of the time, but the goal is not to be happy all the time.
Okay.
And I think that's the biggest issue right now, right? Like my biggest wish for my children, my biggest wish for, I think everybody in this process isn't to sort of get to that illustrious place of being happy all the time. It's really so much more about being safe enough to feel all the emotions. And when you can't even, you and I, when we get up in the morning, before we even pee, we're checking our phone. It is estimated that our great-grandparents looked at their children 72% more of the time than we look at our babies today.
Wow.
Think about the size of the bed that our grandparents slept in and the size of the beds that we sleep in. You know, I mean, my personal husband and I, we have a king-size bed. I don't even know where he is most of the time, right? My grandparents, Jack and Evelyn Carrington, when they had to knock down, shoot them out, I mean, they had to figure their shit out because they were this far away from each other, you know? Proximity has like sort of played havoc on our understanding of our bodies.
Sorry, I'm taking a minute when you talked about looking at our babies fewer times. And I'm thinking all the time I'm on my phone and talking to my children, but on my phone talking to my children. And it's work. So I'm validating it. But I mean, how many times are they seeing my head down?
Mm-hmm.
Woo! That's a
I
big
know,
one.
Mama. Well, and my babies, I mean, I've written books about it, and I say this all the time. Like, I've written a best-selling parenting book. It's so good. Every time I read it, I think, holy shit, this is amazing. If you watch me with my own personal children, you wouldn't buy the book. It's not that we don't know what to do, right? Is that the busier we become, we lose access to it. And this is very true about our bodies. If I give you time to really think about what she's done, the cellular structure that has come from multiple generations, who has carried her to this point, and what she's done, the baby she's carried, the things that she has the capacity to do, I can fall in love with her so much easier than when I'm completely distracted and overwhelmed with, you know, what is this person doing? Who is this person? What is this person saying? And there's very little stillness, right? Healing happens in stillness.
Yeah.
Rewriting the stories with our bodies happens in the quiet. We used to have one day of rest, even in one generation. When my dad came through the door at the end of his workday, nobody could get him. Can you imagine that? We don't even pee in the morning, and we're checking our email. We're jumping on our socials. And then we deal with everybody else's issue. We strap on an Apple Watch, which is a cortisol shooter. And we sit in front of a computer all day where there's notifications. Even while we're doing this episode, you know, I mean, I always have to turn off my notifications, but this is a new thing for me because we're not that good to stay connected to each other. When there's something, you know, because my kids have access to my watch, obviously. So even while we're doing this, if they're texting me and just saying, hey, Mama, are you home tomorrow night at 7? My attention gets significantly fragmented. And you will know that. You will feel that. Which is, I'm not as important. I mean, I should have made time for this. I get to talk to Gina today, but I'm connected to all these other things and people. Technological advances have allowed us to do this, but to truly heal and rewrite the stories of our bodies, our systems, our relationships, you got to go all in. And we're really in a place where it's very difficult to do that unless we do it on purpose these days.
Okay, that's where I'm going to go next. But for people who are like, what's her book? What's her book? So you have the book Feeling Seen, Kids These Days and Teachers These Days.
Yeah. Okay. Kids came first. Teachers was connected to it. And then Feeling Seen is the latest one.
Okay. So do we just accept that this is how it is and then we learn coping skills to deal with it? Or do we what's the answer to this?
So you can't address what you don't acknowledge. And I think that what we really want is everybody to be fine and happy. This is an age-old issue, right? If kids should be seen and not heard. We're happy in our marriage. It's fine. We're good. Everybody's fine. It'll be okay. You know, you can't address what you don't acknowledge. We are not fine right now. Levels of emotional dysregulation have never been this high. Burnout across industry and organization is massive.
Huge.
1 in 4 right now would say they have a plan, right? So, 50% of all people would say they just don't feel connected. 51% of all moms would say this is the loneliest time in their life, trying to figure out this capacity to parent. And so when we know this to be true about the world, everybody is probably going to be a little bit more assholery-ish than normal. And when I have the context for that, what it allows me to do is have more access to empathy. Not what is wrong with people, but what has happened to people. When you switch that question and understand it, what it does is it evokes this thing in all of us that's called empathy. Empathy is the antidote to burnout. It requires a regulation, a stillness, a dropping of the shoulders. I mean, even in this moment, if you're listening to this, I mean, here's how we get back to the best parts of you. Drop your shoulders. Drop your tongue from the roof of your mouth. The most primitive response to stress is we slam our tongue to the roof of our mouth because we lock our jaw ready for a punch historically. Now we don't have to be ready for punches. What we're locking our jaws every time we get a email notification, right? Because when you get an email these days, it's usually not like, yes. We're usually like, oh shit. And that's what our body does. And in our Apple Watches, they're buzzing us because some other bitch is working out and we're not, so we're like, God damn it. Or it's notifying that, the Team Snap moms are getting together tonight. And you're like, usually all of these notifications don't indicate that something is good in that moment. And so our body keeps the score. And this is the basis of Bessel van der Kolk's work around trauma, right? The body keeps the score. And when we are so disconnected in this way, not really understanding that process, we spend a lot of our time with our tongue slammed to the roof of our mouth. Our shoulders are up. And if we've had a really disordered relationship with food, we often are processing that in a very dysregulated body. So the reverse engineer isn't to actually log your food a little bit more or to be more diligent. It's to pay attention to how it feels in your body. Drop those shoulders, watch where your tongue is, and then make a decision about how worthy you are, how loved this body needs to be.
Ooh, because I'm all like, if you're
I
watching me, my
know.
shoulders are going up and I'm down the whole time. My mouth, my tongue is like stuck to the roof of my mouth. And even just you saying that, you actually mean physically, for anyone who can't see, you mean physically drop the shoulders. I think mine are just permanently up here.
But
And
buddy, like,
that just calms the body to put you in a better frame of mind.
yes, it tells you it's safe. You can't tell anybody how to regulate. You have to show them. And that's very true for your own body. So you are this powerhouse woman who's built this massive company. You're a mom. You're navigating other people's biggest stories. No doubt you've had to brace yourself to hold the weight of that all. In order for you to continue to serve, I need to look after you. You matter more than anybody in this community. If you're not okay, the people you serve don't stand a chance.
Yeah. 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 It's hard to do that. It's hard to, why is it so hard for us to make time for ourselves
Because
or
women
feel
have
worthy of
really
our own lives?
The message has really been like warped in so many ways, right? You find your worth in caring for others. And typically the nurturing component of women would say we put everything on the shelf, including our own physical abilities, our what we nourish and feed our bodies with, the thoughtfulness that we put into how we serve ourselves, how we speak to ourselves. They're listening all the time.
Yeah.
And it's always been about, we got that, a lot of that from serving other people. And so I think it's a little bit of, there's never been a better time to rewrite that story for women, for men, about, I think, I say this all the time. Now I have 2 sons and a daughter, so this isn't about penises and vaginas, but I do think that the future is female in so many ways, because what we need is somebody to guide us home who have an emotional language. And historically women, those who identify as women, have much more capacity to do that. And we're running out of time. We need us now more than ever, not to tell people how to do it, but how to show them. And so this investment in regulating, dropping your shoulders, just do that. I mean, put it on a sticky note on your computer, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it on your fridge. Every time you see it, and I want you to write the word shoulders on it, just drop them. Come back into your body. You are safe in this moment. She deserves to be treated well. And when we start to rewrite those neural pathways, this angst around how do I numb, how do I feed in any other way starts to shift.
Oh, is it stress? Is it burnout? Is it menopause? Is it just we're too connected to the world? What is it, all of it? What is it?
It's all of it. Like, you think in one generation, I mean, just as we said, right? When your dad or your mom came home from work, nobody could get them. And they had Saturdays and or Sundays, depending on their spiritual beliefs, that was considered a day of rest. And our fathers have been very good at teaching us this. If you rest, you're lazy.
Yes.
And the issue is very true. They were in a very different time. Yeah. They had 8 hours of daylight and they could only, or 10 or wherever you lived. But at the end of that, you shut down. Nobody could get you. So you better hustle. You nap during the day. That was lazy. Now people can get us 24 hours a day, which means that we have to rewrite that story about where we give our bodies a break. And if we don't, the hypervigilance, the hyperarousal affects digestion, affects our integration of stress, affects our ability to sleep. And if you don't rest, you will not be well.
Is it about being intentional, Like, it seems like a lot of work.
Oh my God. And here's the point. And I mean, it's never been harder right now than it is in this moment, mostly because we have access. We all carry a phone. I shouldn't say we all, but the vast majority of us do. And many devices to sort of stay connected. Now, in this moment, social media is not social. It's designed specifically to keep you there. And so in this moment, Apple, Meta, Uber, even though if I were to just take the top four, okay, Apple, Meta, Google, Uber, they own an $8.49 trillion market share capitalization. So it is big business to keep us disconnected. And you, me, we're not that good. I know I should charge my phone outside my bed. Guess what I was doing till 4:00 in the morning last night? Watching Narcos, because I am so committed to Pablo Escobar and somebody else's shit show, because it makes me feel better than hanging on to my own. Do you understand? And so even those of us who are wise and seemingly educated and know that we're not that good, because the allure of everything that I love is right in front of me. And after I feel so exhausted and overwhelmed because everybody's had access to me all day, I justify like just watching Dateline, you know, as the thing that sort of gives me reprieve, but it also keeps my nervous system aroused. And we've never been this sleep deprived, and we've never been this attention fragmented.
Can we have that relate to our members who are trying to make change, albeit weight loss? But every time I say that out loud, it's so much more than that. It's working through issues and association tied into food, your past, your history with dieting, trying to actually make sustainable change, but also create a lifestyle that's going to support that. How would all this affect someone trying to achieve that? I'm
I
hitting you
mean,
with the loaded questions. I know that I would.
and I mean, this is what you've developed your whole program around, right? Is that what we want is for you and me. And I mean, this is a daily struggle. Okay. So if this feels new, or this feels like something you can't do, it's okay. You just got to do the next best right kind thing. And the next best right kind thing really looks like, in this moment, come back to the best parts of you. Drop your shoulders. In this moment, remind your body that she's safe, that she can take the deep breath, that wiggle your toes, let your gut out, all of those things we're taught not to do. And just notice. If you can give yourself a little bit more reprieve in the run of a day, even once or twice, we have access to the best parts of ourselves. Typically, when we're making decisions about whether to eat or not, or what to eat or not, or the guilt that's surrounding an extra French fry or 47,000 extra French fries, it's typically done in a dysregulated body. So we're processing that information like this. And the reverse to that is really just being much more conscious a little bit about how we're sort of thinking about what we deserve, what we need, it might be 47,000 French fries. Fuck it, go. But I want you to do that in a very conscious body, being very present in a way that would suggest that your space, whatever that size is so necessary in this moment. You are so loved by so many people. And the only time you remember that is when we, on purpose, regulate.
That's kind of the answer. Right, to everything,
Everything.
to making the right decisions for you, having your everything aligned for you in life, having you be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life is coming from back to that self, back to that place, and functioning from that place, making the decisions for yourself from that place. I think we're all trying to control everything. I always say there's two words that don't belong when it comes to dieting and trying to lose weight: control and moderation. How is self-regulation different from that?
That's such a great question, because I think, we use it as sort of that permission, like everything in moderation. But I think if you're taking that mindset, everything in moderation, and you're doing that from a place where you're dysregulated, that doesn't even play.
Yeah.
So it's so much about that. I think what always comes first to me is you, then the people you serve, in that order. And so when you're thinking about making those decisions and control and moderation, you can do that. I just want you to really, as much as, I mean, I have to practice this every single day, right? Am I coming at this from a place of having access to the best parts of me? And then it's easier to answer those questions. You're going to fuck it up like every day, like for sure. So full permission to do that. Okay. Because I think like even you and me who appear sometimes when you have a platform that you have it together. I mean, I feel like I'm messing up my kids all the time. It's a struggle. Did I have enough protein today? I'm in menopause. Count your macros. Don't just enjoy your life. Don't enjoy your life. Jesus, did you work out today? Don't work out today. Do you love your body? You don't love your body because you're working out. You got, like, holy shit. I want you just to regulate the system and remember just how much you're loved and then operate from that place.
Once we get that down for ourselves, how do we deal with other people's opinions about what we're doing, what we need to do?
The simple response to this is really like, I don't know I was going to say, I don't know if we're allowed to swear. I've already done that 1,000
You
times
can
on here. So
swear.
like, okay, so fuck it. Like, here's full permission, right? Like it's such a practice because I understand, and maybe this is like something that comes with age. I'm not even really sure, but it's like, there are so many opinions that are available in this moment, and particularly those who may be jealous of you or have always seen you in a particular body type, and now are wondering about all the things that are going on. This journey is yours. And I want you to really hang on to the people that are unequivocally, they may have questions for you. They may be worried about, are you making good choices? Are you hurting yourself? Like, are you on drugs? I mean, this is the question all the time now, right? With the GLPs. And I think they're brilliant. I think that I shouldn't even, you can take that out if you want.
No,
But I think
we can talk about GLP-1s. Here's the thing, like, I think I've had a lot of clients that have had gastric bypass, and for some people,
beautiful.
that's life-changing and game-changing, and I think that these new medications are a game changer and a lifesaver for some people, but they don't help you work through your issues. They don't help you work through your past. They don't help you reconnect with self, and they don't help you make different choices. So, if anything, I think the Living Method is exactly the kind of program someone should be doing. A lot of people are very surprised. They're shocked. They're disheartened. They can't believe I would align with that. And like, of course, I'm all for people and all the resources for people to better themselves. So, yeah,
Well, what I love about that in the Living Method alongside of that is like, it's just like, okay, so I would think about this in somebody with diabetes, right? Would I say to you, do you ever get to a place where, like, don't use it, just try really hard to control your diet? We now know that with diabetes, if I give you some insulin, you're going to be better at it, but I need to teach you how to use that. I need you to be
yeah,
very clear about the time and the energy and like how you feel in your body. And I think this is very true as well. And so partnering the Living Method with any other thing that might be able to help you in this process doesn't mean you're cheating. It means
yes,
that we're finally evolving in the medical space to understand what is happening in our systems for many of us that have struggled with our weights our whole life. And this is nobody else's opinion. That doesn't matter but yours. Because I know when I watch my A1C go down, when I know that I come from a massive risk of, cardiovascular disease in my family system, I don't fucking care what anybody else thinks. You think I'm
yeah.
cheating? That's all right. I'm going to be here at least 10 years longer for my babies, if all goes well. You understand? So that decision needs to be yours and yours alone. And if you're doing it for the quote unquote right reasons, which is, I want to be healthier in my body so that I can serve the people I love better and that I can show up for me better, the rest don't score.
I love that. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I think so many people don't make decisions that are right for themselves because they're concerned about what other people think. And then when they're
We all,
not owning it.
yeah, sorry.
No, and then they when they do make the choices that work best for themselves, they're not really owning it. It's like this veil of like, I mean, community is so important, but then you can live in a house full of people and still feel very lonely. It's not
Yes.
necessarily the people you're immediately connected with that are your biggest supporters.
Amen. And I think one of the processes when, we're much more clear about that is really about who are you choosing to spend your time with? Because it's limited,
Ooh,
right? And we have so many opportunities now, so much access to people. Really pay attention to the places where you feel regulated in your system, who makes you feel safe, who makes you feel seen. And that's an inside job. That's not depending on what their face looks like or how I want you to know how you feel. And that intuition is often, I mean, you can speak to this in the Levy method, but certainly very tied to our understanding of our own bodies. When we get in touch back with, oh, does this make me feel good? Doesn't this? Does this make me feel good for a moment? And what is that about? Who makes me feel safe? Who makes me feel good? And when you can start to tap into those things, you know what it's like. If you walk into the room and you see this friend versus this friend, viscerally, you change. Right? And so just pay attention to that. You don't have to make any changes. You don't have to cut people out of your lives. Like, let's not get crazy. But I want you to be much more in tune of where that lives, how that lives, and then just notice. Because as women, we often spend a lot of time up here in our head, not in our hearts. If you start to connect those two things. In therapy, I say this all the time to people, particularly those with a trauma history. Where do you feel it? And people hate that question because they want to say, no, I want to tell you about the abuse. I want to tell you about what happened. I work with a lot of police officers who have severe PTSD. They want to tell me about the logistics of a scene. And I say, oh my God, I care very much about that, but I want to know where you feel it. And they say, what do you mean? Where do I feel it? And typically when there's a trauma, it's in your core. So you'll feel it like in your throat, in your chest, in your head. Okay. And I want you just to notice that. Give it some space. Ask it when it got there. And just give it permission. It no longer serves you. So in this moment, can we just understand for a reason it was there and it served us well when we were 6 and somebody said we were fat or we were eating too much or we were whatever the deal is. Now we're in a bigger body and you just want to just notice it. And when it's acknowledged, it'll rise.
You have dropped the mic so many times and shared so many truth bombs with us. If you could just package it up in a sentence or two for people listening and they're like, that's me, and yes, and oh, okay, obviously they're gonna want more of you and we'll let people know how to find you. But how would you wrap that up for people?
I would say, like, if it, as we've talked about today, you are the number one, not because we have to self-care. You can drink all the kale and do all the yoga you want, but if you're doing that in a dysregulated body, it's a waste of fucking time. Okay. This is the season of being very kind to her. And really how that starts is by dropping your shoulders and watching where your tongue is and being very conscious of how you communicate to the cells in your body that they are finally safe. And when you do that, you then become much more available to everybody else that you love and you lead. But you matter most.
Dr. Jody Carrington, I would talk I know you have limited time, but I would talk to you for hours, honestly. I know you have workshops that are available for people. People can go and find you over at YouTube, Dr. Jody Carrington on Instagram, YouTube, jodycarrington.com. Listen to her podcast, Unlonely, with Dr. Jody Carrington. My goodness, thank you so much for making the time for us today. Absolutely brilliant. And I think you've given us all a lot to think about and do.
Mm.
And do.
Such an honor.